Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Chris, and welcome to LinuxTechGeek. So in today's video, I wanted to show you guys a in-depth look at my Emacs config. You guys know that I love Emacs, and I've gotten quite a few messages recently asking me, could you guys get my Emacs config? So I thought I would do a video at least telling you guys the plugins that I have in my config. Now, I will say that my config is a little bit different from someone else's config because I use some lighter weight plugins than some others might use, and we'll talk about those as we go over the config. But yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right on in, and I'm going to do an in-depth look, and I will try to explain every single package the best that I can. And then I'll also show you some of the key bindings that I have set up. Now, my config is not 100% complete. It's Emacs. It's always changing. You know, every time I get 95% done with the configuration, I change something or I add a different plugin. So it's one of those things. It's like a revolving door, right? Like it just doesn't stop. So most of it is complete. It works, and it works for me. And in fact, I've been using this config now for quite a while. But it's just not all the way there. It's mostly just key binding stuff. So, but let's go ahead and jump into the desktop here, and I'll pull up Emacs. So we got on the desktop here. Let's go ahead and pull up Emacs. I have a keybind set to automatically pull up Emacs for me. Now, my Emacs config is in a .org document. And that's pretty much how I like to write all of my my bigger configuration files these days, is in a .org. So let's go ahead and recent files. So readme.org. And let me go ahead and blow this up for you guys just a little bit here. Okay, so the first thing that you see is, of course, we have the header args and entangle. Now you need this. There's a couple of different ways you can actually do this. One way is you can tell the init.el that the .org document is the actual configuration. Or you can do what I do, and what I prefer to do is you can have everything tangle over to the init.el and kind of have a configuration backup. And then I have this auto tangle. I have it set to true, and that's because I wanted to auto tangle whenever I save the document. And of course, I have my author stuff set up, and then we have the TOC, or the table of contents. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump down here. So, package management system. Okay, I use straight.el. I know that Alpaca is another package manager that people have been using lately, but I prefer Straight. It works really good, and it supports like GitHub and GitLab and all that stuff. So if it supports Git, and pretty much supports every thing that that Alpaca supports, I'm pretty sure. And then, of course, we have use package. Now, in Emacs 29, use package is built in, but we still have to do this set queue straight use package by default. We have to set that to true. That way, use package knows to use straight as its package manager. Now, backup. Now, this is something that I took from DT. So by default, Emacs likes to make backup files of everything, and your file system can get really cluttered when you do this. So DT found, I don't know if he figured out a way or if he looked this up, but anyway, all this does is tells Emacs to take all those backup files and throw them in the damn trash can, okay? Because you don't need, you don't need 100 backup files. And then for packages, okay, we have the first package is we have Beacon. So you guys probably see Beacon on the screen right now. That's the, whenever I scroll up and down, that's the, that's the mouse cursor and everything. And pretty much what it does is it shows you where you are, where your cursor and stuff is, right? So if we scroll up and down, you can see, hey, this is, that's where my cursor is. Okay, that's Beacon. Pretty easy. Okay, and the next package, I don't know why I have it here, but I can fix that later. But this next package is it's downloading the Doom themes. You guys that are familiar with Doom Emacs, Doom themes. It has the Dracula theme and the Doom 1 theme and Pale Night and all that stuff. That's what this line right here is. Okay, TOC.org. This package is to generate a table of contents in org mode automatically, right? So you see my table of contents right here, okay? How I have this set up or how it gets generated is that TOC contents package, okay? So pretty much whenever I make a new header and I write to this file, that header will then get generated in the table of contents portion, but you need that package. So org bullets. What this package does right here is it makes bullets for your header files, or not your header file, but your headers, right? So a header is the little star, right? So you can type or whatever, and that's called a bullet. Okay, so that's all that is. Org tempo. This package right here, this allows you to make a shorthand to make source files, or to make the source Emacs list. So if I do left chevron S and then I hit tab, watch what happens. It says, hey, begin source, right? So I could do Emacs Lisp, right? And then I could type all my code right there and write it and so on and so forth. But that's pretty much what the org tempo package does. It makes everything shorthand, which is pretty nice, especially if you're doing these like source blocks all the time, right? So you don't have to type everything out. You just do the left chevron, S, tab, and then type in the programming language or whatever that it is. Org modern mode. So what's org modern mode? Org modern mode, it pretty much makes everything look modern, right? Like, it makes it pretty. So you can see my source blocks right now, right? It doesn't say begin source. It just says source, right? That's org modern mode. Org modern mode also has bullets built in. I have not gotten rid of my org bullets package yet. I'll probably end up doing that after I make this video. But it has a bunch of cool stuff built in. So if I can turn it off here, org modern. So if I do org modern mode, and if I turn it off, watch what happens. See? You see how everything, like, it says begin source, end source, and then there's some other weird things too, right? So you can see up here my table of contents, it kind of changed or whatever. So if we turn that back on, watch what happens. See, now TOC looks a lot better. Everything just looks a little bit nicer, right? That's the org modern mode. It's just for aesthetics. Focus. Focus is a pretty cool package. I don't use this package a lot. I need to just set a keybind for it, but focus, what this allows you to do is, let me go ahead and just actually show you guys. Focus mode. So focus mode, this is kind of cool, right? So if you get like on a specific block, it dims every other block out. So that way, like, let's say that you're writing like a function and you don't want to see all the colors and everything of the whole entire like code block or something. Well, you could use that focus to only focus on like specific sections. Like I said, I don't use this a whole lot. I probably should, because it's a really neat program or a neat package. But yeah, I just don't use it a lot. Maggot. So what Maggot is a fully featured Git client for Emacs. You guys have probably, if you guys have used Emacs or know anything about Emacs, you've probably heard of Maggot or Maggot, however you say it. I call it Maggot, but Maggot is just a Git client. And I'm gonna be real honest, I don't use it that much. I should, because it's amazing, but I haven't really set it up. I haven't played around with it as much as I probably should have. Rainbow mode. So what rainbow mode does is so whenever you have a hex color, it will actually show you the color instead of just it'll show you the hex value, but it'll also show you the color that's associated with that value, right? So you could do, let me see if I can actually just come up with something right here. So if I do FFF, FFF. So you can see, how we have that hex value right there, and you see how it's white? Well, it'll do that with it'll do that with any color, right? So you could do, I don't know any colors off the top of my head, but you guys get the idea there. So FAF, you know, that's pink or whatever. So it'll show you just the hex value. It'll show you the actual color. That's really good. I use this all the time, and that's really good if you're doing anything, like if you're tweaking your desktop, or if you're, if you're doing any kind of like ricing or anything like that, or if you're messing with just any kind of colors in general, like maybe your terminal or Emacs, for instance, right? It's a really nice program to have, or plugin. I'm going to keep calling them programs, but they're plugins, okay, or packages, whatever. So, rainbow delimiters. What are rainbow delimiters? Well, rainbow delimiters are, so you can see these parentheses, right? So, let me see if I can actually show you guys. So, if I make, so do you see how that's like yellow? I don't know if you guys can tell on video here, but that's like yellow, right? And if I do another one, the first one's orange, the second one's yellow, the third one's green, the fourth one's blue, right? Now, rainbow delimiters, it'll match pair and pair with, to make sure that you have, like, if you have an opening parenthesis, it'll show you the color with that opening parenthesis, so you know that you need to close it, later on. So you can see we have the two oranges, the two pink, or the two yellows, the two pinks, and the two blues. That's rainbow delimiters. It just helps out a little bit while programming, or even doing any kind of configuration. Highlight to do. So what is highlight to do? Well, highlight to do, pretty much it just makes, certain words, it highlights them, right? Or it turns them a certain color. That's all it does. So you can see the colors that we have right now. We have to do, fix me, hack, review, note, deprecated, right? Or depreciated, whatever you say. I say deprecate, but so if we just type in review, you can see, you know, to do, and then fix me is pink, okay? Hack is orange, stuff like that. It's just, again, it's just aesthetics. It doesn't really do anything, but it's kind of cool because, you know, like if you had a big list of things and you want to, you know, fix me, well, you can, you know, fix me's in pink, big and pink. Like, you know that's probably something you should fix or something. All right. Capuchin themes. What's that? Well, that's my theme. That's all it is. It's just a theme. And then EF theme. This is a package that my buddy Darth told me about. And again, this is just another theme. Nothing real fancy. It is a nice theme, but I've been using this Capuchin theme, and I really like it. Which key? So this program this should be just a default program inside of Emacs. How good this is. Which key is amazing. So which key is, if I type space, or let me get in normal mode. If I type space, so you can see at the very bottom in my mini buffer, you can see space. It will say space what, you know, space. And if I do my equals now, you can see a big list pops up. That's which key. Which key will tell you what key combination is associated with the action, right? So if I do meta X, so you can also see which key shows up down here too, right? And it'll tell you everything about, you know, in your mini buffer, just all the commands and everything. Which key is amazing, and I don't understand how come it's not default in Emacs. Because in my opinion, that's probably one of the best packages that you can put inside of Emacs. And it works, you know, not only does it work great in Emacs, but it works great in Vim and NeoVim and everything like that too. Now, I wouldn't say that you really need it in NeoVim or Vim, but in Emacs, you almost need it. So, vterm, this is a terminal emulator, okay? I have the default shell set to fish. You don't need to set it to fish. You can set it to ZSH or SH or bash, whatever. But it's just a terminal emulator. And see, there it is. That's all it is. Just a terminal emulator. And it, you know what? It works. vterm toggle. vterm toggle it's a toggle so you can toggle on vterm, right? I have a keybind set, but I forgot the keybind off the top of my head. And this allows you just to pull up vterm, and then bring it back down, pull it back up, bring it back down. It's just a toggle, like an on and off sort of thing. Doom mode line. Doom mode line is the mode line that I prefer to use here in GNU Emacs. This is GNU Emacs, and I still use the Doom mode line. I think it's really nice, and you can see everything that you need to see pretty much in it. All the icons. So all the icons is just what it says. It's all the icons. It makes it just makes all the icons look pretty. That's it. And this also works with DearEd as well. So I like this. I like it. The only thing I don't like about all the icons is the fact that you have to, once you've installed all the icons as the actual package, you also have to run like all the icons. You have to run like a setup script inside of Emacs. But other than that, it works really well. So next we have org auto tangle. Like I said earlier, this will automatically, this is how I'm automatically tangling this file. So you can see when I do a :w, it will say tangling. That's that org auto tangle. If I didn't have this package, then I wouldn't be able to automatically tangle the file. I would actually have to either put in the keybind to make org babel tangle, or I would have to type it out, which is kind of annoying. So Vertigo, what's Vertigo? Vertigo is the Ivy equivalent, right? You guys may be familiar, if you use GNU Emacs, you may be familiar with Ivy, okay, and Ivy Rich. If you use Spacemacs, you might be familiar with Helm. Vertigo is the same exact thing as those two plugins, except it's a little bit more minimalistic, and it's close to the Emacs program itself. It doesn't change a whole lot, okay? It's really, really small. In fact, I think I can turn it on to kind of show you. So let me turn it off. So Vertigo mode, it's disabled. I don't know if it's gonna, yes. So when I do meta X, so you see how I have meta, I just typed in meta X down there. Remember before when we typed in meta X, we had like a pop-up window pull up, and I could type in whatever and it would automatically go through. So without that, without some kind of like framework, whenever you do like meta X or anything like that, you're not going to get those pretty like features, right? So let me turn this back on. So Vertigo is back on. Now watch. If I type in meta X, boom, you see that pop up, right? If we turn it off, watch what happens when we turn it off again. We don't get that. Okay? Well, now we do. It took a minute. So that's just pretty much what it does. I prefer Vertigo over Ivy. Vertigo directory. I forgot. I think this works with Dear Ed, if I'm not mistaken. I may actually forgot what this one does. It just may be like an extra plugin with Vertigo. I'm pretty sure this has something to do with Dear Ed, though, if I'm not mistaken. Company. What is Company? Company is a it's a completion framework, and like a spell completion framework, right? So let me show you an example. I can show you an example of Company. So if I do well, that was, if I do Emacs, right? You see how that little completion pops up where it tells me, hey, Emacs-Lisp? Is that what you mean? I can hit enter and it'll automatically complete it, right? I can also do Python, right? Yeah, so now it picks up Python. Boom. And it just speeds things up a little bit in terms of typing out code or anything like that. But yeah, I really like Company. Company Box, it's just like added bonus feature with Company, so that's a pretty cool thing. I'm gonna butcher this name. Marginalia, yeah, Marginalia. this adds stuff to the mini buffer completions and everything. So marginalia mode is disabled. So you see at the bottom here, right? You see how it doesn't tell me anything, right? It does not tell me anything about these commands I just entered, right? Like we get nothing on the side here. But watch what happens when I turn it back on. Just turn it on. Oh, look at that. Now it tells me everything that the, you know, that the function does, right? So we'll see it one more time. If I turn it off and do meta X, boom, you get nothing. Turn it back on, we get everything. That's what it does. And it's pretty awesome. Embark. What is Embark? Okay. Embark is like an action that you can do on the mini buffer, I believe. You can also do it in DRED. So think of it like this. Like think of I don't have now. This is one I don't have set up. I may be able to show you guys. Embark. Cycle over the next argument at one point. Become select. Yeah, I can't really do anything. Oh, act. Okay, here we go. Act. That's Embark. Now, obviously, we're not going to be using all of, you know, all of these functions or whatever, but that's Embark, right? All it does is in the mini buffer, right? So think of you opening up a file in DRED, right? And think of like you have a keybind and you hit O. Okay, well, what's O gonna do? Well, O can do a bunch of different things. It could open a file, it could delete the file, it could do all kinds of stuff, right? But that's what, pretty much you set up a keybind, and then whenever you hit that keybind, you know, on a file or whatever, okay, it'll pull up a list of actions that you can do with that specific thing, okay? So, that's pretty much what it does. Like I said, I haven't set it up, so that's one of the things I do actually need to set up. And then Embark Consult, that's Consult is a console alternative. So projectile, well, we know what projectile is. Projectile is for your projects, right? It's also, you also need projectile if you use, I believe if you use dashboard. That's one of the reasons I have it installed. It's a dependency. So it's just to manage your projects. Okay, evil, what's evil? Well, that's the Vim key bindings and Emacs. Okay, that is what almost every person I know that uses Emacs, it's what we all use, right? We all use evil mode. Why? Because the default key bindings for Emacs suck, and they hurt your hands, and they're just not good. Now that's my personal opinion, so don't come at me, but I prefer the evil key bindings, and many other people prefer the evil key bindings as well. So, dashboard, you guys know what dashboard is? That's the dashboard that starts up whenever I pull up Emacs, right? You guys seen that when we first opened up my my .org document here. That's dashboard. And dashboard's pretty cool because you can have a custom banner. You can set a bunch of different stuff. You can have a custom logo if you want. You know, you can turn it into whatever you want to turn it into. So it's pretty cool. Consult. Consult is a console alternative. Now, I wish I could tell you what console actually does, and I wish I could tell you more about consult, but unfortunately I can't. I just know it's an alternative to console, and I know a lot of people do use console, but I found consult, and a lot of the alternative packages that I use, you know, such as Vertigo and stuff like that, and Embark and Marginalia, they all talked about consult. You know, like all of it kind of goes together, and that's why I installed consult. Perspective is a pretty cool thing because it puts workspaces inside. It puts pretty much like workspaces inside of Emacs, right? And I have a keybind set that up. So if I do control equal or space equal, and then you can see there's all of my perspective stuff. So I can have different perspectives. I can create new perspectives. I can switch to different workspaces and everything. And this is really cool because, like, if you're a programmer, for instance, right? So you might be working in, let's say that you're working in a project, a big project. All of that project is written in the C programming language. Well, then you could have a workspace or a perspective that says C. But what happens if you wanted, like, and now if you wanted to open up something in Python or something like that, right? You can make another perspective, you know, for Python. And that way all your C stuff is kind of together, and then your Python stuff is together. And, you know, it makes managing a lot of different workspace or a lot of different buffers. It makes it a lot easier. It makes it pretty clean. Lua mode and Haskell mode. What are these? Well, this is telling Emacs to, you know, to have colors whenever we open up one of those type of files, right? I installed Lua mode because I was using the awesome window manager. You guys seen a video on that. And I installed Haskell mode because Xmonad, right? If you don't have the Haskell mode installed, then whenever you write a Haskell file, you won't have the pretty colors or whatever. Garbage collection. I don't think I need this anymore, and I totally ripped this off of DT. But pretty much this is I'm not going to get into what garbage collection is, but pretty much it frees up memory within Emacs, okay? So it destroys memory, or it destroys variables to free up memory. But pretty much I ripped this 100% off of DT. And I don't know, I really don't know how it works. I don't. I know that we turn it on right here. But other than that, I don't know, like, it uses it when it starts up. That's pretty much all I know. And I would imagine he done the same exact thing. I don't think he wrote this, but I could be wrong. Native compile. So what native compile is it allows all the plugins to take advantage of my my hardware, right? A lot of times when you install these plugins, if they're compiled plugins from different hardware, right, then it's like more of a general thing, right? But because we have native compile support built into Emacs, all the plugins, everything I install in Emacs is able to take advantage of my my hardware, which ultimately that means that my Emacs runs faster because I have a pretty nice machine. So that's what it is. Org definitions. So these are pretty much, I got this from DT as well. But pretty much this is just setting up some some definitions and setting up some, you know, where my journal is and all of that, where the org agenda is, and you know, all of that type of stuff. I haven't messed around too much with it. I'm pretty sure I understand most of it though. It's mostly with the journal and org agenda and stuff like that, which I haven't messed around with org agenda a lot. I've only touched on it a little bit, but yeah, you know, it's one of those things that you kind of get from someone else's config, and you're like, hey, I'll throw it in there. User interface enhancements. Well, what's user interface enhancements? By default, Emacs is pretty ugly. I'm not gonna lie, Emacs is ugly by default. Okay, you can make it look nice, but by default, it's just not good. So pretty much, you need this to load the dashboard instead of a scratch pad on launch. Okay, I set my theme right here. So this is where I set my theme at. Remember, we installed the theme earlier. This is where it actually loads the theme. I have menu bar, scroll bar, toolbar. I have all of that turned off. Okay, I have line numbers turned on, as you can see on the side. I have beacon mode. So I showed you beacon. I have it turned on by default. And then we have the startup screen turned off by default, and we have make backup files. We have it turned off by default. Okay, and then we have the save interval at 1,000. I think that's 1,000 milliseconds. So what? That's every minute or whatever. So that's what that is. GNOME and KDE full screen. What is this? Well, so I showed you on my GNOME my GNOME video, right? I talked a little bit about that. By default, for some reason, whenever I was firing up the Emacs client, it would make the Emacs client tiny, like little bitty, and I always had to maximize it, but I had to actually click on it to maximize it, and I got tired of doing all that extra work. Well, I was reading, and some other people were having the same exact issue, and they said, hey, try this code out right here, and yeah, it worked. I don't know if this is because of just being a desktop environment. Now, what I can say is I didn't need this code when I was on a window manager, a tiling window manager. Emacs client worked as it should, but for some reason on GNOME, it was just screwing up. So this makes it pretty much whenever I close up or whenever I fire up Emacs client, it will fire up in full screen mode. Electric indent. So what this does is it pretty much it fixes some weird indentation issues. Whenever you're in org mode, some of the, especially like in the source blocks, some of the indentation that it does by default just doesn't make sense, and it's kind of ugly. This just turns it off, so you don't even have to deal with it. Fonts and themes. So okay. My font, I use Source Code Pro. I use a nerd font. Okay. I have everything set to bold. I like bold, or I like semi-bold. I don't know. I just think that the fonts will look better. They look a lot cleaner, and yeah, that's all this really is doing right here. And I have my variable pitch font. I have it set to Ubuntu. So variable pitch font, I believe that would be for like the EWW browser. This sets the comments and like keywords. So one of these is supposed to be bold. I forgot. I'll fix it later. But what this pretty much does, this makes it where your comments, and the, like programming keywords will be italicized because by default they're not. This add to list default frame a list font, you need this pretty much if you're using Emacs client. Okay, if you're firing up Emacs, you know, via just hit Emacs and then it fires up, you don't really need this, but if you're using the Emacs client, it's a good idea to add this because this will tell the Emacs client the font that you want to use and the font size. Some weird font issues happen if you don't have it. And then this right here, this pixel scroll precision mode, this is just a new thing with Emacs 29. I don't even know if I'm using it right. I'm probably not, but I saw that it was a feature in Emacs 29, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna set it. So this add to list default frame a list alpha background. This does the native transparency. Okay, and then we have this global pretty fast symbol mode. What this pretty much does, it turns on pretty symbols instead of instead of words, like lambda, for instance, right? See if we can. No, lambda is still not doing it, so maybe I need to actually set up something. Yeah, I'll do it later. But pretty much it's supposed to have a pretty lambda symbol instead of what it does. And I don't understand how come it's not working. But I'll figure it out. Zooming in and out. These are my keybinds. So pretty much standard keybinds. Okay, if I do Control ++, it's going to increase the font. Control minus, it decreases the font. I can also use Control wheel up and Control wheel down, respectively. General keybinds. So I use a package called General to set up all my keybinds. I think this is amazing to set up keybinds with, especially if you have a lot of keybinds. I'm not going to go over every single one, but I will tell you that my preferred method, just like many other people, the space key or the space bar is your leader key, right? So if I do get normal mode, if I do space, you can see a bunch of stuff pop up, right? So I can do space, I can do E for evaluate, and then I can do something else, right? Or I can do space, I can do B, and then something else to pop up, or I can do space D for DRED, right? You get the idea. But everything is space something something, space something something, right? And I just prefer having the leader key as the space bar. That's the way that they do it in GNU Emacs, and I've kind of gotten used to it as well. So that's what we do right here. And then if I do space period, it will find file. But if I also do space FF, it will also find file. Okay, and I have two of them set. I know it's ridiculous and I probably shouldn't do it. But every now and then, for some reason, I catch myself using space period. And every once in a while, I'll be space FF. I don't know why. It's just weird. But so I set both of them. I said, screw it, I'll set both of them to find file, and they both work. Of course, space equal is the perspective map. So for the perspective stuff. Now, originally, I'm going to admit, I didn't know that you could have the entire map pulled up. I started looking at DT's config one day, and I seen that he had perspective map. So I checked it out, and sure enough, that shows you every single key that perspective can do. Because originally what I did is I had space P N for next perspective, space P B for the previous, and so on and so forth. But the perspective map is, yeah, it's pretty much everything. And then tab, that comments out of line. Okay, I got that from DT too. And then we got the iBuffer, like we got the buffer stuff going. And then we have Dear Ed, of course. And I also have some shorthand ways to open up my Emacs configuration file, space FC. That's what that does right there. And then we can search for specific strings inside of a file. And then we have our evaluate, evaluate the region or evaluate the buffers. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas if you guys celebrate. It is the holidays right now. I do apologize again about the lack of content, but as you guys know, I work in retail and it's the holidays, and I've been pretty busy, but glad I got this video out for you guys. I do appreciate each and every single one of you guys that have subscribed. It's really awesome. And I also appreciate the ones that have, educated me a couple of times in my, in some of my older videos. I had a guy recently the other day. He told me about a couple of things with the Portage Package Manager that I didn't know you could do. And that was awesome because I learned something. And you guys know I love to learn, all kinds of different things. So if you guys have any questions regarding Emacs or any questions regarding any of the packages that I personally use, feel free to message me, and I'll try to give you guys some type of feedback regarding those packages. And if you guys want my Emacs configuration, the one that you just saw, you can get on my GitLab and you can grab the configuration file. It's gitlab.com/CLSmith1. Okay? And if you need, if you forget the link or whatever, just message me on the video in the comments down below, and I'll send you the link. All right? And that's the same exact configuration that we just looked at. Now, some of the packages, like I said, that I use, those are the ones that I use. You can feel free to use whatever you're going to use, okay? I'm not installing a bunch of packages, though. Like, you guys can message me and say, hey, check out this package. And I may check it out. I may not. I don't know. Okay? I'm not... my configuration is my configuration. You add it to your configuration if you want to. Okay? So, I do want to thank you guys for watching. And until next time, you guys take care, be safe, and peace. Bye, guys.